Let's play Connect the Dot. This is a new series for my channel where I give you a pop or culture war topic and a news story that's recent and tell you how they connected in my brain in the stream of consciousness way. But instead of just telling you, I'm going to just present each side and give you the opportunity to do the connection yourself before I tell you. All right, ready to play? All right, the first one is Black voters and the news that the Democratic Socialists Party have been cleaning up and doing surprisingly well in the primaries, outseating establishment Democrats. How do they two connect? First, Black voters historically have been reliable voters in the Democratic Party. So much so that a lot of them feel taken for granted. You might have seen someone from the other party, even someone that looks like them, call the Democrats a plantation, which is offensive. However, what they're saying is that every time they vote for the Democrats do not make their issues specific and take care of them. And that has been a challenge. However, the Voting Rights Act have put the Black voter on the map. I have never seen so many different articles about the Black voter in a long time. It's usually about MAGAs. It's usually about independence. Black voters are going to make a big difference in this primary and in the general elections. So that means we got some come up some, and it's really good because I did see one article that said that the DNC or the Democrats were considering not necessarily fighting all of the disenfranchisement that has been going on since the United States Supreme Court essentially greenlit the ability for southern states to racially gerrymander and carve up Black districts, which enable Blacks to have Black candidates actually salad and get to Congress. Why? Because they're a reliable voting bloc, they could actually make traditional deep red districts purple and maybe possibly flip them if you spread out your Black vote. But what that means is that it's going to be harder to get Black candidates. Post-production editing, I just made the statement when I produced that last video that the potential impact of the Voting Rights Act could be that Black votes are so diluted that Black candidates fail to make it to Congress. And we just saw an example of that in Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is a longtime member of Congress, ran in a predominantly Black district where there were like 4 or 5 of the Black candidates. And she did that because of the gerrymandering, like I said, her district was like gone, poof. So she had to find a new home so she decided to go there, perhaps because she might have thought she had a competitive advantage. I don't know. And one of the reasons she won was because it was split. It was a 4, so they split up the Black vote, and so the second reason she could have won also is that she has experience. I mean, she has her issues, but she has long experience working in Congress. Could say, I've passed legislation. She really showed up during the primaries. I went to every event, tried to be there for people, and I guess it worked. So between showing up, being there for folks, having the experience and background, she got enough votes, and the dilution of the other candidates. Instead of having one, there was a plan at one point for them to have a coalition and then pick one person out of the 4 or 5 to go against her, so everybody could be voting for that one person, and it didn't work out. And see, when y'all couldn't unify, I guess everybody wanted to be the one. Anyway, I don't know. The point is that it didn't take long for the Voting Rights Act gutting by the United States Supreme Court to take effect. The impact of that was all these southern states, Mississippi, I think Louisiana did it, Florida, I think Georgia attempted, but they weren't successful. Maybe Alabama. They all went out of their way to dilute the Black vote, racially gerrymander. So the Louisiana case, Calais case, was brought up because they said the Democrats are trying to racially gerrymander. They're racial districting to keep Black votes. So y'all said, they're wrong for racially districting, so we're going to go in racially district. That's what the Supreme Court did. The Scrotus 6, that's why I refer to them as. Because they really messed up. That's a big this last year, this whole time, so from the immunity decision to this summer. I don't know what's going to happen this summer, but up until like the Voting Rights Act, until they left, and even since then, they've had some shadow docket cases or emergency docket cases that are. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the video, but the point is it's 6 inches. We just saw the example of it, and there could be a counter. By the way, the counter could be, and this is where it could be a miracle. It could be that because people are pissed because they said Georgia had like the highest voter turnout amongst Black people for a long time in the primaries because people are pissed. The fact that they're trying to disenfranchise them could piss them enough that they actually do show up. If every single Black person in all those states who are eligible to vote actually registered and voted, that'd be the end of all those red districts because enough Black people, for example, Louisiana has like 40% Black population. So imagine all the registered voters, because they're normally Democrats, in Louisiana actually registered and voted. It'd be really difficult for a Republican to win because it'd be a blue city. It'd be a blue state. That's what they have the potential to turn in. So they don't know their power, which I'm talking about on the other side of this interruption. Okay, back to the video. But I just thought it was interesting that I didn't predict that. I said we said that's what's going to happen. Everyone knew that's what's going to happen. Everyone said that. And my point is that it didn't take long for it to actually happen. They reacted and responded perhaps maybe by making South Carolina, which has a sizable Black population, which has a very vocal, very kingmaker representative who used to be the whip in Representative Jim Clyburn, the kingmaker. And they said your state is going to go first in the primaries for the 2028 presidential election. Now, how does that connect with all of these Democratic socialists that have been winning and cleaning up, from Mandami to, he doesn't call himself a socialist, but he still has a lot of socialist ideals, to Dr. Al-Sayed, to the most recent one with Nixon. Hello, let's go. How do they connect? There's a lot of chatter about saying, because let's stop all the infighting. We don't have time for this. Those ideological differences we can hammer out after we get us to do more flips, because we've been doing a lot of flips. Forget that stuff. The issue is that when those members of the left and progressives had an opportunity to help the establishment Democrats or people who aren't necessarily on the left get a Democrat in the White House, they chose to sit out. They chose to protest vote. They chose to join the 90 million Americans that opted out. 90 million Americans represent more than the 77 millions that voted for Donald Trump. Allegedly, supposedly, according to the reports. I'm not an election denier. And they kind of helped this regime. So people who helped us get this Trump regime, and many who have said that they would never, ever vote for a candidate that takes money from PAC or takes money from that nation. I don't want that's committing the G word, because I don't want my video to be demonetized. And so they're not willing to put aside any ideological commitment or principles against that one issue and vote for someone, even if it means they get the flip, they get control of the Senate, we can do some things. Or we get a vote in the White House. Now, the way I connect those two, how would you say they're two connected? Black voters being seen as powerful and important, instrumental in the upcoming midterms and presidential election. The Democratic Socialist Party is demanding, because they're having lots of success, that everyone who has issues with their platforms put those issues aside so we can get more Democrats in the Senate and the House and flip this baby and get our country back. How do they connect? Guess. What do you think? What do you think I think? Coalition building. That's right. It connects by actually those issues that they have, the Black community have, that they feel like is being ignored, and the issues that the progressives have that don't necessarily include the Black community's concerns, come together, and that we all start to listen to one another. Because as I've told several people who I've had back and forth with, there's usually a lot of struggles where there's people from one part of the Democratic Party attacking. There's a lot of attacks. And part of the attacks that people from my demo get is calling us establishment and saying that because our issues are coalesced or things that they want and see is the most important actually would help us as well. Like income inequality is going to help Black people. The wealth gap between Black and white is huge and growing. Income inequality, yeah. Tackling and making the upper 1% pay their fair share, yes. Criminal justice reform, absolutely. Medicare for all, why not? We pay for wars. Why not get health care? We're all with that. Yes, 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 yes. So the people said, so since you all like our issues, why aren't you voting for us? And I'm just like, okay, that's four. And also forget like support for the people of the P word who are trying to survive and live in this. What about all those? Y'all, if we've solved these problems you solve. That's called trickle down support. That's called like taking it for granted. That's called being dismissive. That's called being like, we don't have to worry about your individual specific particularized issues that affect only you Black people. We don't have to worry about that because what we care about affects y'all too. So get on board. Talk about being taken for granted. There are a myriad of issues. I was talking to a family member today who is getting a mortgage for a second home, and they are asking this person for every single thing but the kitchen sink. Extra things that have nothing to do, extra work. Because one of the challenges that Black people have, especially Black middle class, because we're not all criminals, we're all not poor, so income inequality and criminal justice doesn't necessarily touch all of us. We're not a monolith, which is true, is that access to capital to purchase a home, discrimination in the home industry from getting mortgages to appraisals for their home when they want to sell to access to get your down payment to buy it. Those are issues. The Crown Act, where our hair, there is laws about our hair, where states have actually voted against discrimination against hair that comes out of our hair, Black hair. That's a Black issue. There's prison to school pipeline, disparate punishment between Black kids and other kids in the school system. That's a Black issue. Access to capital for starting a business, a Black issue. Are you getting it? Redlining services and the best premium services and businesses and not coming to Black communities is a Black issue. I live in a county that has a lot of wealthy Black people. We don't have any like those shishi boutique stores that we see in our white neighborhoods. Why are they not coming to the Black neighborhood that has wealth? That is a Black issue. So if the Democrats had policies like the Crown Act that a establishment Democrat pushed through, or a law that helps with first-time home buyers, like Kamala Harris had, establishment, that is why people vote for them, because they're addressing their specific particular issues. That's not necessarily the progressive issue. Your progressive issues are part of dozens. So you can protest because your needs aren't met, but we can't vote for a candidate we want to that supports us. Make it make sense.